Well, good morning, everybody. Welcome to High Trust Coaching Live. I am Hope Bourman. I'm the Divisional President for High Trust Coaching. And I have with me right now Matt Harrison, who is one of our High Trust coaches. So welcome, Matt. Nice to see you.
Good morning.
How's everything going so far?
It's been crazy after a huge week last week with Sales Mastery and unpacking all of the great implementable ideas and trying to figure out, okay, which ones do we tackle first, right?
Right, exactly. It's really amazing. I've been talking to a lot of our coaching members this week as well, and it seems that they're all still on the sales mastery high of I've got so much that I want to do for 2021, and let's make plans. Let's start creating the strategy around it. So it's really exciting. I think everybody really needed kind of a shot in the arm, and I'm so glad that even though we weren't able to do it live, that we presented it, through digital, because I think that everybody really needed it. What do you think, Matt?
No, I agree. And I think the format was great. The chat on the side with people being able to put in comments was fantastic. I think right now, we're in the honeymoon stage of mastery, right? Where
Yes.
We're super excited and we're animated and we're going to go out and get it. And we're going to make changes in our lives and in our business. Right now, the focus is keeping that energy and keeping that direction moving forward, and being able to actually focus in and make the changes that will affect our lives.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's very, very true. And it's just like anything else. It's just like, New Year's Eve, right? I'm going to make a definite change. This year is going to be my year. And in coaching, it kind of happens, actually, when people make those kinds of commitments. I think that they actually do execute on them, and they actually do, achieve them, because they're keeping that eye on the ball and they're maintaining that momentum throughout the year. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. And as you know, coaches, that's what we focus on. We want to make sure that, we keep that excitement, we keep the focus, so that, those things that need to happen in our coaching members' lives actually do happen.
Right.
And, I'd throw out a pitch to anyone that's been on the fence for actually getting into coaching and actually making it a reality. This is when, that decision is made where it really starts to pay off.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so true. And I think that, a lot of our coaching members that are already in the coaching program were just so pleased and happy that they were already in coaching, and they weren't going to miss a beat. We've been getting just a lot of, beautiful responses from our coaching members. So we're very proud of them, and I love celebrating them and their successes. So that's been awesome. So speaking of sales mastery, talk to me a little bit about, your highlight, Matt. What was your highlight for sales mastery this year?
You know what? I have two that have just stuck with me, and the great thing about one of the format this year is you could go back and watch them, and I've watched these over and over again. I think John Maxwell as a keynote speaker was absolutely riveting. I was just drawn in to a couple of things that he said. The first was, everything that I want, everything that you want to improve your life and to get you into a better position, all of your dreams and goals, all of it is going to require that it takes us out of our comfort zone, which I thought that is so true. We also talked about the idea of shifting from being goal-oriented to becoming growth-oriented. Because with growth orientation, we can continually have these goals to progress and dive into personal growth, spiritual growth in our business, growth in our relationships. And this is something we can continually do day after day after day, and really kind of implement that law of the iceberg. Our greatest potential is hidden to our clients and to the people that we work with, but that's inside of us. Is how we grow and develop. So I thought that those were really, really key. And then I loved Dr. Is it Heiss?
Rebecca Heiss.
Yeah, Rebecca. Oh, I got the biggest kick out of her, just with the idea that, hey, and this ties into this, when we do things that are uncomfortable, the first thing our brain says is, hey, you're going to die.
Yeah.
You're going to die. And then
you're going to disintegrate.
And And we're not going to die by doing these hard things. But our brain is also wired to say, okay, if we're not going to die, it's going to be extremely painful.
Mhm.
It's going to cause us physical pain, emotional pain, spiritual pain. And that's bogus too. It's not. But our mind is wired to keep us safe and in the same routine that we have always been in.
That which is familiar.
And we don't want to get out of that. Why? Because we know we're not going to die.
Right. Yeah.
If we jump out of that and we do the things that will actually promote growth,
Mm-hmm.
stimulate growth. As you know, Hope, I'm a runner. I love running.
Yes.
Well, the only way to get better at running is to put stresses on your body that will make you grow and make you into a better runner. Mm-hmm. You're not going to become a better runner if you sit on the couch.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But I had to teach myself that I'm not going to die. So I thought both of those were just fantastic, but there were so many pieces. And you've kind of touched on one that I think we're going to be talking about today is the idea of hourly rate, main event thinking. How do we transition ourselves into thinking differently, thinking not as a salesperson, but thinking as a CEO? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. What about you? What were some takeaways?
Exactly. I have to say that, golly, thank you for asking. My favorite, I have to say my highlight was, was Leadership Live, and that was the day before. And Rick Mount, who is part of our elite group, and Mike Hardy, were interviewed as part of Leadership Live. And I have to tell you that interview and that conversation literally took my breath away. It was just their candor and their willingness to be vulnerable and have those real, true conversations around what it's like in their environment, how they are taking care of their people, what's working in leadership for them in today's environment, was just, it was, as I said, it just took my breath away. And so if anybody who may have missed Leadership Live, I highly encourage you to go back and listen to it because it was spectacular. And I think the other highlight for me was always, Todd's talks, his conversation around what we need to be focusing on, and the idea of, what John Maxwell was talking about with regard to the growth mindset as well, and instead of asking what's next, and asking yourself, how can I grow? What is my next expansion level? What can I expand my capacity to do? And on the way into the office, I was listening to a podcast that Todd had done with Marty Preston and Wally Aileberry last year at 2019. And, Marty was talking about the idea of, how when he comes to mastery, he always kind of expands his ideas and his thought process. And he's going, okay, so why not 100 million? Why not 200 million? Why not 300 million? It's like, why not? And when you start asking yourself those questions, it does expand, your thought processes. And so that's why I think I love what John Maxwell was talking about with the mind and the leader shift, in having a growth mindset.
One of the big aha moments for me, Sales Academy and the master's class, being in the room with individuals that are doing $100 million plus, a year in volume, that for those that are in the industry, you're like, wow, they've arrived, right? They've made it. They've achieved everything, and they know this business. But watching these amazing minds in our industry sharing, taking notes, asking questions, the desire for growth was amazing to me.
Yes.
No. I've not arrived. I'm not even close to it. Mm-hmm. I'm still growing. I'm still developing. And the moment that we think that we've arrived, we haven't. And that's that goal oriented. That's, if I reach my goal, I'm done. But the growth oriented look of things is, no, I'm going to continue to get better. I'm going to become a better husband and father. I'm going to become a better leader for my team. I'm going to become better at helping people. I'm going to become more involved in service.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to get better physically. I'm going to, this is something that every day we can look at and say, you know what, I'm going to get better. And the great thing is that when we have people around us that celebrate that growth
Mm-hmm.
and us getting better, which is, again, one of the one things I love about coaching is we get to celebrate that growth.
Mm-hmm. Yes, we do. Yes, we do. It's so true. I had, during mastery, I'm sure you had the same thing. So many of our coaching members were texting me, the members that, that I coach. And, what I love about them is that they don't wait. They heard, the brothers in business, make a comment with regard to asking their realtors, who else do you know within your office that's not happy with their lender right now? That perhaps I can be talking to. They didn't wait. That day they got on the phone and called their agents and got, 3 or 4 more agent referrals. And so it was that implementation piece, the not waiting, just do it. It was exciting for me during mastery.
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah. And, the little things about, and I saw on the chat line, it was, what is your opening line? And I think that the monologue was, what do you do? Well, what do you do? What do you do? What do you do for work? What do you do?
Right. Yeah.
And our answer, many times is, well, I originate loans. I work for a mortgage company. I sell loans.
Mm-hmm.
That's not what we do.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I love seeing everybody's opening lines, just the creative process that just starts to go through.
Yes.
And then it's, again, I told a coaching member earlier, I said, you know what? Now it's just practicing it. You got to almost have it in your head. Mm-hmm. This is what I do. This is what I do. This is what I do. And again, the implementation piece is where it happens. So action is critical. We can have great ideas, but if there's no action behind it and we actually don't do it, and again, remembering we're not going to die.
Right.
That, as we make these changes, and I'll tell you one of my changes I did right off the bat, Hope. I decided that I wanted to make my texts 90% video. And so when I have a new person to talk to, and instead of sending the text, I'm just going to send a 10-second video. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And allow for that personalization. And I've already seen a change in response back just off of that. So, but again, the fear is, well, I don't know if I want to be on video all the time when I'm texting. First off, I might die, and second off, this might be painful. But the reality is no, this is something that can reach someone on a different level.
Sure. Absolutely. Absolutely. So I wanted to do a shout out for Brian Minot. Good morning, Mr. Brian. Brian is one of our coaching members. We just had an amazing call yesterday. So good morning, Brian. So one of the consistent messages and one of the consistent conversations with all of the top producers that we spoke to throughout Mastery was the topic of the hourly rate. When you listen to, everyone from the elite members to our top producers within the coaching environment, they all were, dialing into their hourly rate. So Matt, let's lay this out a little bit. Talk to me a little bit about our philosophy at High Trust about the hourly rate and, and why it's so important.
Well, the moment that you actually, I know for me, the moment that I actually sat down and calculated my hourly rate was the moment that I kind of had a crisis in my life where I looked at what it was I was actually making to how many hours it took me to actually make it. Mm-hmm. And, that, and in the High Trust Sales Academy, that's one of the things that we do initially is, okay, let's get real here. Let's talk about how much are we really making? Because hourly rate is a function of two things, right? How much we make and how long it takes us to get there. And when we start to dive into, okay, what is the one thing? What is my main event? What is the one thing that I can do as a loan strategist that is going to provide me the biggest hourly rate? And you start to get the CEO mindset of saying, well, if I'm going out and I'm originating loans, building relationships, and then originating loans, and building relationships and originating, and I am bringing in the business. I can then say, all right, if my main event is that, what is all the other things that I am doing aside from that is not my main event that has an hourly rate associated with it? So if I'm making copies, and first off, what is our goal for our hourly rate? Well, if we just say, okay, we want, $40 million in closed sales volume. And we just take that number and we say, okay, so I'm going to do this math as we speak here. We got 40 million in sales volume. And let's say that you're 100 bips for each one of those. So that's 400,000. And let's say that, we work a 50-hour work week to get that $400,000.
Okay.
Okay. So we're going to take 50 hours. And we're going to multiply that by 52. That gives us 2,600 hours that we are working in that year. All right. And then, so we say, okay, so we're going to take that $400,000 mark and we're going to divide that by 2,600 hours. Our hourly rate is $153 an hour. Now, watch how cool this is. What if we could do that same $400,000 amount, but do it with just 30 hours a week? Watch what happens to our hourly rate. So now we go 30 hours a week. We multiply that by 52 weeks, 1,560. So we go 400,000 and we divide that by 1,560. Our hourly rate just jumped up to $256 an hour.
So then it becomes a function of what am I doing now that I shouldn't be doing? So that becomes our filter, right? Because you have what your current hourly rate is, and then we have our next level goal or hourly rate. And we say, okay, how do I get to that 256 an hour? And that becomes the filter for everything that you're doing. So what are those activities that you are doing that you shouldn't be doing, that you could be delegating, right? And handing off to someone who you're paying, $25 an hour to, or something like that. And that is more in their lane, right? And that just frees you up to do the things that are worth $250 an hour, which is your green zone, right?
Yeah, that is main event thinking, because the things that you're delegating still need to be done, but that becomes that person's main event.
Yes.
And this is, we have a lot of questions about, okay, what are the differences between producer level coaching and master level coaching? Master level coaching is dialing in what is it that our team does to create the biggest boon as far as our business as a whole. I remember the comment, I can't remember which High Trust Sales Academy this was, but would I pay $100,000 today to make $400,000? Absolutely. But I'd pay $200,000 to make $800,000. Absolutely. That is easy math. And for me personally, Hope, it took me a couple of months to really realize that it was important for me to pay at the time an assistant $15 an hour so that I could in turn make over $200 an hour. For some reason, the math, it was scary. It was that jump in, that leap of faith to say, okay, well, shoot, I don't know how these top producers are doing it. I am working as hard as I can. Right? I'm doing everything I can. I'm working as hard as I can. But I can't do the same production. Well, that's because I was doing everything.
Because you were doing everything. And
I was my own assistant.
Yeah.
I was my own assistant. I was my own concierge. I was my own production manager. And I go right down the list. I was all of these things. Right. And all of those things don't carry the same pay rate. Or should they? And so you hit it. That most important thing is, what is my not to-do list?
What is my not to-do list? Exactly.
Right? That list becomes pretty long, right? As we start what are the things that I should not be doing, and what does this not to-do list look like? And you go down and you just start listing all the things that you're currently doing. And for those of you that are watching now, for those of you that might be watching this later, do this exercise. Go through first off, what is your main event? As a loan originator, your main event is to originate, to bring in business, to build the relationships.
Yep.
Ideally, everything else becomes the not to-do list. And the key is now, how do we delegate to the right people that we have trained in the high trust methodology to do these things and do them well? Because I can promise you, Hope, and you've seen this, we are not good at doing everything perfectly. We're not equipped for it. There are things in my wheelhouse. I hate paperwork. I hate it. Hate it. I mean, I know, and I don't do it well. There are things that I just don't do well.
Yeah.
But there are other people that excel at it.
Yes, absolutely. I can agree with you more, Matt. And obviously in today's environment, I think that the hourly rate has become an even more important conversation in our coaching sessions. And the reason why is because we are dealing with a very, very high level of volume. And our coaching members are working longer hours. It's just the nature of the business. I mean, everybody is at their max at capacity, from our fulfillment teams to our loan officer assistants to our processors. So, we want to keep their eye on the ball. So even though, I think it's almost, it's almost confusing when they're seeing these large, commission checks coming through and they're having record months, right, as far as their production is concerned, and they're having record months with regard to their income is concerned. But when you boil it down to the hourly rate, it starts to get very, transparent, right? And what can we be doing to improve that? And as you were saying earlier, any little tweak, any little adjustment is going to improve that. So that's, I think, the thing is we always, have that conversation. I had this conversation yesterday with Brian Minot, who's on the call with us right now. And I said, okay, so, what should you be doing at what I think we calculated him out at somewhere around $295 an hour. And he's got so many other irons in the fire. It's amazing that what he's able to accomplish. And I'm always impressed by him. But, and all of a sudden, we started looking at, okay, we need to start, delegating and maybe putting the right people in place for him. That's going to take that off and that he can rely on and trust.
It is so important that happens. You talk about hiring the right people. Had a coaching call today with Shane, one of our other coaching members, and it was interesting. We're talking about the idea about when you're looking at the right people for the right position. A lot of times we hire based on experience. I've been in the lending business for 10 years.
Sure.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And we hire based on does this person have the education and all of that? But I like to look at it with a different lens. I look at, number one, talent. Does this person have the talent to be able to do the job that I have lined up for them? In other words, if I need someone that is going to be good on the phone, is going to be my liaison, my concierge with people and talking with people all the time. I want someone that is just dynamic on the phone. I want someone that carries a conversation that's engaging, that's wonderful. I'm looking for that person. I'm looking for that talent. And I'm also looking for the personality to fit. Right. Do the two of those coincide? If I've got the right talent, the right personality, and it fits with the job description, then I've hit a home run.
Right. Exactly. It's so true. And I think that that's the first thing that we always go through is that, we don't want to hire people that are like ourselves. We want somebody who are, their jam is processing. Their jam is loan origination. Their jam is customer service. They just love doing it. They're great at it. And that's their jam. Right. So, so those are the people that we want. And our jam is, as you were saying earlier, building relationships and, creating, bringing in new business, having the high trust interview with our borrowers and our referral partners and that type of thing. So I'm going to shift a little bit here, if that's okay with you.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So I wanted to mention a couple of things. We obviously at High Trust Coaching had a massive response from Sales Mastery. We are booked right now through the early November on coaching consultations. So I just wanted to let everybody know that if you already know what our coaching program is, and if you are ready to just contract, is to say, I don't need to talk to a consultant. I don't need to walk through the program. I want to get in coaching. I want to be, perfectly positioned for 2021, send me an email and I will get a contract out to you so that you don't have to wait until October or November to talk to a coach consultant. I'll be happy to get a contract, but that's only if you're just ready to just dial it in right now. I've had a few of our coaching members that had gone on pause, because of COVID, and they've all redialed in again. They've all just redialed in and they're emailing me saying, hope I'm ready, like get me back in. And I just want to get this done. And so I just wanted to kind of throw that out to everyone. If you want to have a coach consultation, you want to walk through the program, hear about their producer level, master level, and all of what the program offers and all of the benefits, definitely, schedule a free coaching call and we'll get to you as soon as we can. But if you're ready to contract, just shoot me an email. And I'll get you onboarded and get you off to the races and get you with a coach as soon as possible.
Hey, Hope, a question for that.
Sure.
I think it'd be great for us to talk about just a few minutes the process of okay, I'm interested in coaching.
Mm-hmm.
I want to invest in it.
Mm-hmm.
How do I know which coach I'm going to be paired with? How do I, tell me about that process and how that all works.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. Thank you. That's such an important thing to me. And I think that's the most critical of the entire onboarding process. So what we do at High is both scientific and it's also a preference. So what we do at our coach pairing process is during your onboarding, you're going to do something called an opportunity assessment. And the opportunity assessment is going to basically identify where you are right now today in your business. There's a lot of questions and and they're all yes or no questions. So it gives us a real good idea of where you are in your business right now and where you want to go. Because obviously at High Trust Coaching, we want to meet you where you are and take you where you want to go. And then the second piece of that is we do a disc analysis, and it's not just a personality profile, it is also a key motivators. So we'd have you do a disc profile and key motivator assessment as well. And then the third piece of it is our coach concierge, Blake Houston, does a personal interview with with the coaching member, and she goes through another series of questions. What's important to you about a coach? What is important to you about coaching? Do you have any questions about the contract? And that type of thing. And it gives me a little bit more information. And then she presents me with all three of those pieces. So she presents me with the opportunity assessment, the disc analysis, and key motivators. And then she also presents me with her notes from the personal interview, and I take that information and I align them with a coach that's going to be the highest and best opportunity for their success and what they're looking to achieve. And I have to tell you, my batting average is pretty good, Matt.
Yeah.
Batting average is pretty good going through that process.
Yeah, no, it has been. It's been awesome. I know, and I'll throw this out because I think it's relevant. The coaches, we are in the business.
Mm-hmm.
We're originating. This is,
yes.
This is not something that I do full time as far as coaching. I do it because I know and love High Trust. It works for me. It works for my business. I've seen how it's developed my business, and because of that, I want to share that and give that back, and do whatever I can there. I will mention this because this is so awesome, and I'm going to shift us back to hourly rate really fast.
Okay. Yes.
I went from 50 hours to 60 hours a week, down to this year is my best year ever. Mm-hmm. Okay. And, volume is absolutely incredible, but I'm at about 25 to 30 hours a week. Even with volume up, that allows for me to coach. That allows for me to.
Where's my bell?
Ding, 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 ding.
Where's my bell?
People say no, I don't know how this can work. I don't know how I could actually take my business up and work less.
Mm-hmm.
You can. I promise you that you can. And you look at the top producers If you were to ask Wally or Marty how many weeks of vacation they take a year, it's big.
Yes.
It's massive.
Yes.
But that's where we want to be. We don't live to work.
Mm-hmm.
The work allows us to live, and we need to make sure that we keep that in perspective as far as where we're at.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we coach on. I mean, I am all about, if I can shave off 2 hours a day
Mm-hmm.
off of someone's schedule and they're at the same pay as far as what they're going to make, or even, we increase it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's wonderful.
Yeah. It is. It is incredibly rewarding, when we see our clients go from from $30 an hour when we first start working with them to $700 or $800 or $900 an hour, because we've reconfigured their business. And I think also, to your point also, Matt, what you were saying just a minute ago with regard to maintaining that momentum, keeping our eye on the ball and shaving off 1 inch at a time, because it doesn't happen overnight. And a lot of people say, well, there's other coaching programs out there that I can just pay month to month. And we don't do that simply because we know we can't make an impact, not the impact we want to make in your business and in your life, inside of, if you're not fully committed. And if you're committed for a year, we can make that needle move. Absolutely.
No, Hope. The cost of coaching, if you put it into an ROI,
Uh-huh.
the return on investment, for some of our coaching, I'd say, a majority of my coaching clients have at least 5x their investment in coaching.
Yes.
And there are many that have 10x their investment in coaching,
Mm-hmm.
that are doing volume that they never thought that they'd be able to
it
do.
becomes a non-issue.
Jennifer wrote a little thing in here. She says, but did you die? No. Why not 12 million this month? Why not me? Why not now?
Yes.
Those
Those are great questions, Jennifer. Thank you. Yeah, I love that.
And you can. That's the thing. The only cap that we have is this invisible, noise that we have in our head that says you can't do that because it's going to be too painful. You're going to get out of your comfort zone, and you'll probably die.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact is that is not the case.
Yeah.
There is no limit to what we can do in this industry. There's no limit to the amount of people that we can help. There just is no limit.
Yeah. So I would challenge everybody that's on the call to say, the next time that you have that scary feeling in your stomach, do it. Do it anyway. Just, do it anyway. And because that scary feeling is that protection, is that fight or flight, right? Mode that kind of comes over us, and it is very physical. So as soon as the next time it comes up for you, move through it. Move through it. It's an opportunity. Move through it, right? And it's the same thing with your running, right, Matt?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You got to push past it.
Absolutely.
And that's where the growth happens.
Yeah.
We will not grow. And I love, getting back, I'll hit the kind of the circle. I love Axel saying that we have to test.
Mm-hmm.
And when we test things, we will inevitably fail. And failure is not a bad thing, right? And when we fail, we learn from our failures. And then we improve. And then we go back and test. And we continue to go around this circle.
Mm-hmm.
And we continue to improve and grow. But a part of that is we have to do things that are going to be uncomfortable. And sometimes they're not going to work.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But that's okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's okay.
It's okay. It's okay. So I think we're coming up on our time. Oh yeah, we're all going over our time. We're 9:33, Mr. Matt. Every time you and I get into a conversation, and we just kind of go off to town. So thank you so much for joining me today. I love having you. Obviously on Coaching Live. Super proud to have you as a coach for High Trust Coaching. I know you've been with us for a few years, and looking for us, many years to come. And so thank you, Matt, for everything that you do. Everything that you bring, all the value that you bring to us, and have an amazing day. Yeah.
We have a great group. We really do.
We do. We absolutely do. Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, thank you everyone for joining us, and we will be back next Wednesday. So I look forward to seeing you then. In the meantime, have an amazing week and make a difference. Yes.
Absolutely.
Okay. Bye-bye.